the credits, and then we come back and introduce you.
Ten seconds.
I'm Bruce A. Parr, and this is my co-host, Frank J. Rich, and you're watching Frank Talks with Bruce the Blog. Yeah, now we just talk over the credits. Hello again, and welcome to Frank Talks with Bruce the Blog, brought to you every week by the Penny Saver and our parent company, Chase Media Group. And we thank CEO Carla Chase and my co-host Frank J. Rich for putting us up every week on the show. And on Frank Talks with Bruce the Blog, we like to talk about what's going on in the community that's positive and inspiring and constructive. So in that respect, we think our show maybe is a little bit different, certainly than reality TV, but this is reality TV, actually. This is maybe a bit of reality. This week we have somebody who I've admired for a long time, and I run into a lot in theaters because that's his business, his theatrical production. John Fanelli of Lighthouse Youth Theater.
Thank you so much.
Founder and artistic director of Lighthouse Youth Theater and Standing Ovation Studios. Mm-hmm. And right now, John is, you might say, sort of on cloud nine, as he deserves to be, because he is the creator of the current production at Westchester Bfoadway Theater of In the Heights, the smash Broadway musical that won, I believe, 4 Tony Awards, correct, right, John? Mm-hmm. Including Best Musical.
Yes.
Right. And I know I was saying, I've lived in Yorktown now and Westchester for 20 years, and I've been going to shows at Westchester Bfoadway Theater. I was sitting with somebody you work with, and we all know very well, Barry Liebman. Mm-hmm. And you know, Barry is not an easy critic. We all know that. And he said that in 38 years of going to Westchester Bfoadway Theater, In the Heights is one of the top 5 shows he's seen. And it was extraordinary. It is extraordinary. It plays through March 17th, right?
Correct.
So what was it, let's get started, John, by asking you, what was it that impelled you to bring that particular show to Westchester?
First of all, I saw it on Broadway, and I sat there with my mouth open saying, this is the kind of theater that I want to do, contemporary theater. Right. It's very much a mix of old-fashioned musicals with a contemporary feel. The music is contemporary, the dance is contemporary, the story is contemporary. And so rather than doing the same old musicals, which I happen to love, I really do, I'm not putting them down, but this is different. It's just something that is so simple yet so sophisticated. And as soon as I saw it, I said, I can't wait to produce and direct that show someday. And as soon as the rights came available, I secured them and put it up.
So how long, like, when did you see the show on Broadway? How long have you been thinking about bringing it here?
I think I saw that show, I'm going to say it was at least 4 years ago.
Right.
2008, 2009. It closed in 2010, and I saw it well before it closed.
Right.
So, yeah, it was probably 2009, and it took us this long to secure the rights and actually put up a production.
And one of the exciting things about it, you know, as you're sitting in Elmsford, where the Westchester Bfoadway Theater is, and you know they have a beautiful venue there where you can eat dinner, and it's very social as well as being an entertainment experience, is that you recreated the original choreography.
Correct.
And the choreography is extraordinary, it really is. It's very impressive. And you have several of the original cast members in your show, right? There.
Yes. We have 4 Broadway cast members and 7 cast members from the national tour.
Right.
We did purchase the rights to Andy Blankenbuehler's Tony Award-winning choreography,
Right.
and then we went so far as to hire someone who worked directly with Andy. So this person, Morgan Marcel, who is our choreographer, brilliant, knows every step that every person does. So we couldn't have had a better person in place to make that choreography really come back to life. And we had Lin-Manuel Miranda there and Alex Lackamore, and a lot of the creators of the show came to see it. Andy's coming, he's booked for next weekend.
Oh, wow.
And they all say the same thing, they love it. They love that we stuck to what the show represents, but we put our own flavor.
Right.
The beautiful thing about Westchester Bfoadway Theater for me is that it's a 3/4 thrust stage.
Right.
So it's not your normal proscenium stage where you're looking at it through a box.
Right.
It actually comes out with audience on 3 sides. So you can bring the whole show basically into the laps of the audience, which is what we did.
Right.
And so that was the main difference between what was on Broadway and what we did, is we brought it straight down into the audience.
Right.
And
so
it works really well.
Oh, no, well, I can attest to that. Yeah, so it's halfway between proscenium and theater in the round.
Yeah, you
right,
know, a lot of people
essentially,
say it's like theater in the round. I don't think it is. I
Right.
think it's its own unique way of really presenting a show. Theater in the round, you can't have any scenery. You can't. I don't even. Theater in the round is really challenging.
Right,
I
sure,
think
yeah, right.
thrust is just. It's just, for me, it's more fun for the audience to experience a show in the thrust than it is to be separated.
Oh, no, you're right. It's, yeah.
A lot of times you have an orchestra pit separating you from the show, so you don't really feel part of it. There, you're
It's
right
more
in the
three-dimensional,
mix.
actually.
Yes.
It sort of breaks down the fourth wall.
Absolutely.
Now, you mentioned that you purchased the choreography rights, and I don't know that I was aware that that would be separate from the rights to mount the production, but I think it would be instructive for a lot of people watching, you know, even in terms of school productions. What I find in my travels is people don't always realize, I mean, and we've all seen this, you know, music will be performed somewhere in their community, and I think 99% of people aren't aware you're actually supposed to be paying to play those songs, no matter. It's public performance, right?
That's right.
And so I would imagine the rights, you know, you're purchasing the rights to something like In the Heights would be a lot different than to Annie, right, which has been around so many years. The newer the show, it usually isn't, the more expensive the rights? Or
it's all supply and demand. You're absolutely right. So if the show is hot, you know, you want to buy Les Mis, you're going to pay for it. If you want to buy, I don't know, even Guys and Dolls, you'll pay less because there's not as many people producing it. So yes, definitely. In the Heights was very expensive to purchase the rights.
Although my recollection is that's not actually reflected in the ticket price. It's
Never.
Is it less than it usually is, or it's no more than it usually is? Or?
Our ticket price is $59.
It's less.
It's a lot less. Yes,
yeah.
and we decided that and Westchester Bfoadway Theater is a great partner with us, and we decided that we wanted to fill this house, and we wanted people to be able to really get in and see this show because we're so proud of it. So and it's worked. We sold over 16,000 tickets to this show, and it's a really hot ticket.
Is that every seat, 50 to 59?
It's pretty much every seat.
Every seat goes for $59.
Every seat goes for $59 a ticket.
And that includes dinner.
That includes dinner, the show.
Yeah,
it's
that's
really
quite a
great
bargain.
price.
Yeah.
Yes.
And as far as you're building what to me, because I've been following you for several years, it's like you're building a little mini empire here in Westchester of the theatrical arts, especially as they pertain to young people.
Yes.
Right? That's sort of your specialty is teaching young people the theater. Right?
It is, and everything I do is really about the kids who are in my program. I started this professional program, which is in the Heights in Standing Ovation Studios, with Peter Pan several years ago, and the reason I did that was to get the kids, the really top-notch kids in my program, into a professional show with professional actors. So that's why we started it in the first place, and we had no idea that it would build to what it is now, which In the Heights has no kids in it. But I bring them all to my studio, and they're all the kids come see the show. I take them backstage so they can meet these actors and really be inspired by what it is that these actors are capable of. And to me, teaching is 90% inspiration and 10% information.
Right.
So if I can inspire these kids to say, I want to do that, then I'm doing my job as a teacher.
Right. Although I could tell you that in the cast, when you say they're not kids, they're in the 20s. So I think to Frank and me, they're kids.
They are kids to me too.
20-year-olds or 20, right in the mid-20s.
Absolutely.
And it's by the way, it's a very, very energetic cast. I mean, the energy. They say in the theater, keep up the energy when you're on stage, right? And the energy is like up here the whole time.
Yes.
and it really comes through.
Yeah, it's an amazing, I've never worked with a group this talented, I have to say. This is the next level. So this is definitely the best show we've ever done, ever in my life.
Oh, no,
and,
it's
so,
tremendous.
and I guess that's the point, is to get better. Every time you do something, you
Right.
want to outdo what you did last time.
Yeah.
And so I
How
think
do you do that? I mean, I want you to, to speak about all the things that are important to production of this nature and how it relates to the community to the extent that you can bring the two together. But how do you actually manage that the artistic height that you've achieved with this particular show, when in the past that might not have been possible? Is it like a ball team in which a coach teaches his people and then he sits on the bench and they have to perform, or?
Very much so.
Okay.
And I think of myself as a coach. I really do. And I grew up playing sports, and I think this was a real challenge for me, because these are Broadway actors and professional actors, and so they needed something different from me. They didn't need the teacher in me. They needed the motivator in me. They all needed something different, and I think every good teacher would attest that you teach to the individual, or you work with the individual, and they all need something a little different. So it was my job to figure out, what do they need from me, and how do I get the best out of this performer that stands before me?
Yeah.
And I think we did it, and also the team. Morgan Marcel, who I mentioned, and Andrew Moser did the lights, and Steve Loftus built an amazing set. And the list goes on. Maria Castaldo with the costumes. We hired really great people who, all from the community, by the way, who are just super talented.
Right.
And you're only as good as the people who surround you. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well said. Yeah.
Yeah. And John, you started with Lighthouse Youth Theater, right? Which was in Thornwood,
And now it's in Armonk.
and now you have a new facility.
Yes.
That you built it. You built that yourself.
Built it out,
Yeah.
and it's interesting that they both happened at the same time. In the Heights is sort of the pinnacle of what we've been able to do professionally, and Standing Ovation Studios is the pinnacle of what we do educationally. And so we built this studio from the ground up. We ripped out every wall, 6,000 square feet, an 1,800 square foot dance studio, an acting studio that's like a lecture hall, 3 private instruction rooms, a huge lobby. We have a store, like a boutique for dance clothes.
That's a great idea.
We have a rock and roll rehearsal room, fully equipped with drums, guitars, bass, piano.
Is Jack Black one of the teachers?
He could be.
School of Rock.
He could be. We have 5 rock and roll instructors, and one of them's better than the next. Super
Do they
talented.
teach songwriting, or as
We
well
haven't
as
gotten there yet. We're just
musicianship?
musicianship.
Right.
So they take a private lesson, the kids, and then we put them in bands. And so that each week they take one private lesson, and they have a band session with what I call the band mentor. And so this person, this rock and roll instructor, is in charge of getting this band working together and teamwork, and all the things we do for musical theater we want to do for rock and roll. And it's really working out great.
How do you make the connections to the outside world? The practical reality is that that whatever it is that these kids learn and do under your roof, they now need to walk outside and either extend that skill and talent into something that is a living, or they need to find a different living. So if they need to find a different living, that's okay, because you've given them tools to do that.
Correct.
If they need to find, is that the way you look at it?
I'm not interested in putting anybody on Broadway.
Yeah.
It happens. You know, kids from our program are on Broadway right now.
Are they? Yeah.
But that's not really what we focus on. What we want to focus on is giving them skills that they can use in life. And I want them all to be lawyers and doctors, so then they can contribute to the program. But really what we're doing is we're creating the next
Are you sure
generation.
about that? You really?
The next generation
What
of
did Shakespeare say about lawyers?
the next generation of theatrical lovers, people who love the theater, who will then teach it to their children.
Yeah.
I mean, the odds of these kids all going on to be movie stars, and it's not there, but their love of the arts is what we're encouraging and what we're fostering, so that they will continue. And in this world of 1,000 channels and video games, we want to get them thinking creatively again, and that's what we do.
But it's interesting, John, what you're saying about you're being very pragmatic and realistic as somebody who does this 24/7, working with young people in theater. But in both, let's say, high school level sports, much more than high school theater productions. You have, you know, a sort of stereotypical parent, and so yes, I'm going to generalize. A lot of parents will think that their son or daughter who is a superior athlete in high school is going to go on to, you know, professional sports, when the reality is a very high percentage of them don't even go on to any kind of special career in college sports, let alone getting to the professional level. But are there parents that, let's say you may not express it openly, but in your mind thinking they're not being realistic about their child's prospects in the professional entertainment field, right?
I express it openly.
Oh, you do? Oh,
always.
you do.
I'm very honest with the parents, and I want them to understand that that's not my goal. And yes, it may happen. And we, you know, everybody develops at a different level.
Right.
I have kids who come in at 9 years old, really talented. I never even worked with them before. And then some that by the time they're 16 have blossomed.
Right.
And then some that don't blossom until they're in college. So,
right.
you know, it's all about, you know, humans and the fact that we all develop at a different rate, and you just have to have patience. As far as the parents, we have the most incredible parents in our program, and we insist that they're all on board with the entire program. If there's really someone who wants their kid to be famous, then I say take them to Broadway. Go audition, get an agent, get a manager. That's not what we do. This is not our focus. Our focus is training. Our focus is working with young people.
It sounds like you're. It sounds like you're. It's almost bicameral. You have the skill set, the imagination, and the organization to put a business, a not-for-profit business together, so to speak, that is commercial in nature, but makes no profit.
Exactly.
While at the same time, your narrow focus is to build the unique qualities in individuals for sufficiency in all life activity.
Yeah, we say changing lives one show at a time.
Okay,
Yeah,
so that's the mechanism.
motto. Yes.
But what you're really about is growing people.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We
That's extraordinary.
Yeah.
theater as a vehicle to teach young people about responsibility, about teamwork, about, you know, just, I like to call it confidence through accomplishment. If you can stand up in front of 500 people and sing and dance and act and get a standing ovation at the end of that, you feel great.
Right.
You know, and you can't help but feel like, if I can do that, I can certainly do a book report. I can certainly run for class president. I can do anything. And so that's really what we're trying to teach.
Yeah. That's an extraordinary thing. I mean, it really is. I mean, people will say those things, but actually to do it and to actually find your own support without without going to people and asking them for their donations as the only way in which to get support is extraordinary.
Well, we do both, and we do raise money each and every year, but it has always been my contention that if you don't have programs, if you don't have something there behind it, people are not, you know, people, I don't care how much money they have, they're not throwing money at something that they don't think will be successful in the long run. That's just not the reality. That's right. It's an investment of their hard-earned dollars. If I want to contribute to something, I want to know that this is sustainable, that this is something that is helping, and that you know, I can't imagine something better to invest in than children,
than people,
the future.
Yeah, so art is broad. There are many facets to it, many disciplines and subdisciplines. How broad is your package, so to speak?
It's broad. Singing, dancing, acting, music, meaning guitar, bass, piano, drums.
Okay, so go back to singing and dancing, because music, you've listed some of the instruments, but does singing include opera?
No. Musical theater and rock and roll singing at this point doesn't mean we could not expand into opera. We just haven't found the need for it.
And
right
dancing?
now. Dance classes,
what
tap,
are you?
Jazz, Broadway, hip hop. I mean, you name it.
Okay,
we
so
teach it.
So but not the extemporaneous contemporary dance that, let's say, a company like Shen Wei does.
No, we are not a dance studio.
Yeah.
All of our dance is based around musical theater,
Right.
and
Got it.
so that is the difference. There's a lot of competition dance schools,
Yeah.
which means a lot of musical theater actors are not getting trained in dance properly because their focus is competition dance, and as you say, more of a Fanelli type
Yes, right.
dance as opposed to musical theater dance, which
Sort
is
of
very
abstract as opposed.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Right.
Ours is
Right.
very specific to
Right.
musical theater.
Right.
Because the next level for these kids, for me, is college, the university level.
Right.
And there are programs all over the country, and we
Yeah.
have about 15 graduating seniors this year, and they're all auditioning for every one of them, and I helped every
I was
one
going to
of
say,
them.
they ask you for advice on where to
Oh
go.
yeah,
and-
we work on their monologues. I know everything about every musical theater program in the country because
Oh, so these are
kids
schools
need
where they
my
have to
help.
audition to get in. Yeah.
So
Right.
you're
It's
very much
tough.
unlike most guidance counselors.
That's
You
right.
really don't know.
And I'm almost battling against, unfortunately, because they don't understand the difference. Like, imagine how hard it is just to apply to college. Now you're adding
Yeah.
an audition to
Right,
that.
right.
Like, it's stressful. It's a lot. And it's a lot for the parents to understand, and because they don't really understand it either. Their kid is the one who's interested.
But that's something I want to touch on. It's one of my passions, actually, because we have a foundation in memory of my son Harrison, who performed on stage. Harrison was 3 feet tall due to dwarfism, and he performed on stage. He worked with Kevin Kearns a lot.
Okay.
And one of the things, as a side note, I say about him that you've touched on and is behind your whole enterprise is that. So Harrison was 3 feet tall, and the line I use, and when he performed on stage, he felt 10 feet tall,
right.
and that's what I talk when we make donations, which we do to the school performing arts. I talk about the self-esteem
Sure.
that I know from from my experience with him, but as you well know, high school sports, scholastic sports or athletics, get a lot of heat positive heat in terms of money and attention, and whereas the performing arts in schools do not even come close. And one of the things I always make a point of saying when I'm presenting a donation in front of people is that we shouldn't forget, and it's important to keep in mind that it takes just as much guts and skill to get on stage as it does to put on pads and get on a football field.
Maybe more so.
Right.
Yeah.
So do you work closely at all, John, with local schools, or what's your feelings about how the performing arts are dealt with in the public school system?
Well, it's tough. It's hard because budgets being what they are, it's very
Right.
difficult. And truthfully, it's hard to cut the football team because you'll
Right,
get
right.
the
Yeah.
parents more of an uproar. So I understand the problem, and it is a problem, but it's hard to fix. And I
Yeah.
feel bad for the schools because there's not much they can really do about it. It's not that they don't. I know a lot of principals and even superintendents who say, I would love to give more money to the arts. It's just not there. The
Right.
money is not there.
So in effect, I mean, and I would imagine you do sort of think of your business. It's a solution for that, right?
It
It's,
is, absolutely it is, but I always encourage the kids to do their school show too because it's
Right.
different. Mine's almost like the traveling team for soccer,
Right.
So you come here because the best kids from every school are coming to my space because
Right.
they're not
Right.
getting
Yes.
enough
Right.
at their school.
Right.
Doesn't mean that they're not getting anything, and I really do. I think I may be different from a lot of other groups. I encourage them, and I make my
Right.
schedule around their high school show because I think that's an important part of going to
Of
high school. If you
experience,
have this
right.
kind of talent, I'm not going to force you to not do your show in high school. That's not
Right.
fair. I don't want
Right.
to compete with the high school.
Right.
I want them to have their program, and we'll have our program, and hopefully, and we have been able to support each other and develop this
Yeah.
talent.
Yeah, I
Right.
could see with the declining budgets how
Yeah, they're
a
taking a hit.
collaborative
Oh, yeah.
approach to the schools, if they can get over their compliance issues, might be just an extraordinary solution to
Right.
Some are more
growing
cooperative
problem.
than others, of
Right.
course.
Yes, yeah, that's
and
right.
probably the better the program, the less cooperative they are because they don't have to be. And
Right.
they're putting a lot of money into their show and they're doing a nice job and they feel, why go someplace else? You can come here and do it.
Yeah, I've seen some great high school shows.
Sure,
Oh, yeah.
absolutely. I have
I know there's a
too.
place I keep hearing about in Connecticut that puts on.
Staples?
No, I forget the name of the school, but I've heard like a lot of really good. Like it's an extraordinary program they have with their high
Ridgefield
school.
High School is great.
Yeah, it's, but it's not. But it's
Yeah.
And then how do you John, how do you pick shows that you're going to put on? I mean, I know the rights have something to do with it.
We do so many shows that it's hard because there are certain shows we can't do because there's not enough girls in it, or because there's just so many things that go into it. So for me, the shows we're doing right now, we're doing Fiddler on the Roof with our main stage group, and it's a great show because it's such an ensemble piece.
Yes.
So it's hard for me to do, like, let's say, Little Shop of Horrors, because there's no ensemble. You know, there's nothing for them to do. If you're not the lead, you're barely in the show. So I have to be very careful about what I pick so that the 60 to 70 kids who are participating are busy and are learning. So I have a program called Protege, and that's just the 30 top kids in my program. And we're doing Children of Eden with that group. So I can be,
a little more sophisticated.
I can do more sophisticated. And those kids are 13 to 18, and they have some real chops, and so they can handle a Children of Eden.
Yeah. And there are, like when you do acquire rights to shows, they do have local versions, that are scaled down, or junior versions, like Annie Junior that you're doing.
We're doing it right now, and that's with another group. So we have 3 levels to our program: an introductory level, our main stage level, and then this protege level. And so yes, we do a lot of the junior versions for the entry level because it's a nice, neat package for a young group to really understand. And then I really try not to do the school editions or the juniors with the middle group, because I want that to be different from the other group. And then, as I said, we do Sweeney Todd, Chorus Line. We do, with the protege group, we do some really challenging work.
How do people get to know more about you? I mean, you give a brief discussion here, really terrific, but I'm sure much more comprehensively viewed.
Well, I should certainly talk to Chase Media, I'll tell you that, because everything we do is word of mouth. We've never advertised, ever, and we're big because of it. And part of me appreciates that, you know, if you find us, you found us because you have a certain passion for this, you have a certain love, and you need to find where you'll fit in best. But
but just to interrupt you for a moment, the passion is not so much the thing that energizes your signature idea, which is growing people for sufficiency in our society. The mechanism which we have passion about, and everybody loves the theater at some level, is it you know, it's the sizzle, so to speak, and then it's the vehicle to help these folks see themselves for their unique contribution. So you got a signature idea core at the most elemental level, and then you've got this mechanism that delivers them to the marketplace, and that's the part that parents and citizens want to know about.
I agree, and as I said, we took In the Heights to the next level. We've just taken Lighthouse Youth Theater to the next level too, and with this new space comes a new business model, a new plan. So we definitely need to do more of that and really reach out so that people are aware that we're there.
But to be clear, word of mouth advertising has always been, is, and always will be the best form of communication to the marketplace. Absolutely. It doesn't get to as many people as quickly, but it gets there securely and in a better way than most others. So
well, I have a certain philosophy of teaching and of this program, and I really feel like my program is me and I am my program, and I don't know where one starts and the other ends. It's all the same thing. And so I think, you know, reputation is everything, and if you stick to what you believe in and you do what you feel is right, even if someone disagrees, they can say, well, that's how they do it, and that's fine with me, as long as I'm consistent, as long as people understand when you come here, this is what you're going to get, because this is what the program offers.
Have you written this down? I mean, you speak a lot of principles and practices, and they are fundamental. And
I tell the kids every day, I'm writing a book. It's called Think Like an Actor. And then I say little things, and so a lot of the kids are saying to me now, I want to start writing down what you say so I can be your ghostwriter. Who has time to write these things down? I'm busy. I don't have time to write it down.
And speaking of not having time, we don't have any more time either. So but it does fly by. So we really want to thank John Fanelli, the founder and artistic director of Lighthouse Youth Theater and Standing Ovation Studios, and you can go to lytshows.org, the website, to find out more information.
Or standingovationstudios.com.
Or standingovationstudios.com, and of course, in the Heights at Westchester Bfoadway Theater. Great, great show. John, thanks so much
Thank
for being
you so
with
much
us.
for having me.
Right.
Really appreciate it.
And thank you for watching Frank Talks with Bruce the Blog. And remember, when Bruce the Blog listens, people talk. Thank you.
Yeah, very good. Well, I'm